Would you say you're in a hurry? Not just today, not just this week, but in life itself. Most of us are. Even if we don't think of ourselves as rushed, our inner clock is always ticking. I should be further along by now. I should have achieved more. I should be more successful, happier, richer. It's as if life was some great competition with a hidden scoreboard somewhere in the sky. And here's the strange thing. Nobody can tell you exactly where the finish line is, but still, everyone is running. From the day you're born, subtle messages begin to shape you. Your parents compare your milestones to other children. She's walking early, he's talking late. In school, you're graded, ranked, measured not just to see if you're learning, but to see how you compare. You learn quickly that life is a ladder. You climb or you fall behind. And somewhere along the way, without realizing it, you internalize a belief. Your worth is tied to your pace. The faster you advance, the more valuable you are. But here's the paradox. When you treat life as a race, you miss most of it while you're running. The obsession with constant progress is a peculiar disease. We run after promotions, wealth, recognition, always with the idea that when we reach there, then life will truly begin. And yet, the closer we get, the further there moves away. It's like chasing the horizon. You can run all day, all your life, but the horizon will always stay the same distance from you. We think we're being productive, but in reality, we're just spinning the wheel of dissatisfaction. We're trading the present moment for some imagined future, as if today were nothing but a stepping stone toward something better. We've been conditioned to think in straight lines, from school to career to retirement. And if we can just keep moving faster along that line, we'll win. But life is not linear, it's cyclical. Seasons turn, tides rise and fall. The heart beats, not in a straight dash, but in a rhythm of expansion and contraction. When you run through life like it's a 100-meter sprint, you fight against its nature, and the result? Exhaustion. Burnout. A deep, gnawing sense that no matter what you do, it's not enough. And here's the bitter irony. The more you run, the more life blurs past you. Think of a child absorbed in play. They're not worried about progress. They're not keeping score. They are immersed in the moment itself. And because of that, they are fully alive. Somewhere along the way, we trade that immersion for ambition. We decide that life is about getting ahead. Ahead of whom? No one really knows. But the race becomes real in our minds, and that's enough to enslave us. The tragedy is not just in missing the present, it's in living under the illusion that happiness is always somewhere else, waiting for us at the next milestone. When you live like this, you start to see people not as companions, but as competitors. You measure your worth against theirs, their salary, their home, their holidays. Even friendships and love can become transactional tools for getting ahead. But deep down, you know this is madness. You know that no matter how fast you run, life is not going to hand you a trophy at the end, and you can't win a race that doesn't exist. The real question is, if life is not a race, then what is it? And how do you live it without constantly rushing through it? First, you must see the illusion for what it is. There is no final arrival. The idea that one day you'll have it all and feel complete is a fantasy sold to you by a culture addicted to speed and achievement. Life is not about crossing some finish line, it's about the texture of each step. It's about the way the air feels in your lungs, the laughter you share over coffee, the way sunlight falls across a room in late afternoon. If you're running past those things, you're running past the only real life you have. So, why do we run? In part, because standing still is terrifying. If you stop, even for a moment, you might feel the emptiness you've been avoiding. You might hear the questions you've been drowning out with noise and movement. Who am I? What do I really want? What is all this for? These are not easy questions. They require courage to face. And it's far easier to stay in motion, to keep chasing the next goal, than to risk sitting with the uncertainty of life. Yet it's in that stillness, not the race, that life reveals itself to you. There's a story from the Taoist tradition about a man who wanted to cross a river. He builds a raft, paddles across, and reaches the other shore. But instead of leaving the raft, he straps it to his back and carries it for the rest of his journey because it once served him. Our obsession with progress is like that raft. It might help us at times, but if we cling to it forever, it becomes a burden. True living is knowing when to move and when to simply be. You can move through life without running. You can work toward goals without turning them into the whole meaning of your existence. The secret is balanced participation without obsession. Instead of asking, how far ahead am I? Try asking, how deeply am I here? Because when you stop treating life as a race, something incredible happens. Time slows down, colors feel richer, conversations go deeper, the smallest moments start to matter. And then you realize there was never anywhere to get to. There was only this, and it was enough all along. When you pause long enough to see clearly, you notice something. The race is mostly in your head. Yes, there are external pressures, deadlines, expectations, responsibilities, but the relentless urge to be ahead often comes from comparing yourself to others. Comparison is like quicksand. The more you struggle in it, the deeper you sink. You start believing that someone else's timeline should be yours, that their pace is the right one. You forget that no two lives are identical, and that nature itself thrives on diversity in growth. A tree doesn't look at another tree and rush to grow taller. Consider a forest. In that forest, one tree might sprout quickly, reaching for the sun, while another takes years to strengthen its roots before rising. Both grow, both belong, neither is behind. Yet we've been trained to see ourselves as competing trees, constantly checking whether we're keeping up. This is why so many of us feel perpetually late, as if we're arriving to our own lives after the party has already started. But you cannot be late for your own path. Your life unfolds exactly at the pace it is meant to, if only you allow it. The trouble is, most of us don't allow it. We prod, we push, we criticize ourselves for not being there yet, and we assume that the faster we go, the more we'll experience. But life doesn't work that way. Just as you can't truly appreciate a meal if you rush through every bite, you can't truly appreciate life if you gulp it down without savoring it. Speed might get you to more destinations, but depth is what allows you to actually live in them. Without depth, your life becomes a slideshow you barely remember. So, how do you step out of this invisible race? First, you have to realize it's a choice. Society will not slow down for you. The pace of news, technology, and markets will only accelerate. If you're waiting for the world to calm so you can catch your breath, you'll be waiting forever. The decision to step off the track has to come from you. You have to choose to measure your life by the moments that nourish you, not by the imaginary scoreboard of progress. And yes, that means redefining what progress means entirely. Progress might mean saying no to a promotion if it costs you your health. It might mean spending more time with your family, even if it means less time networking. It might mean pursuing a hobby with no financial payoff because it feeds your soul. These choices will confuse people who are still caught in the race. They might even judge you, but remember, their confusion is not your compass. Your compass is whether you are awake in your own life, whether you can feel each day fully instead of letting it blur into the next. Stepping out of the race doesn't mean you abandon ambition. It means you stop letting ambition drag you by the throat. You can still strive, but you strive from a place of joy, not panic. It's like the difference between running because you're late for an appointment and running because you love the feeling of wind in your hair. The action might look the same from the outside, but inside, one is stress and the other is freedom. And freedom is what you've been chasing all along, whether you knew it or not. But here's the hard truth. Slowing down can be uncomfortable at first. When you stop racing, you suddenly see the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. You notice the emptiness, the unresolved grief, the questions you've left unanswered. This is why so many people keep running. They mistake movement for meaning. If you can sit with that discomfort, though, you'll discover something remarkable. Beneath all the noise, there is a quiet sense of enough. Not enough as in settling, but enough as in realizing that your worth was never tied to your pace. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no race to run. You still have things to do, yes, but no imaginary finish line looming in the distance. Your worth no longer depends on getting somewhere else. What would you notice first? The taste of your breakfast? The way sunlight shifts across your living room? The sound of a friend's laughter without checking the time? When you live without the race, Moments become more than just checkpoints. They become the point. And that shift is nothing short of life-changing. Because when you stop running, you finally see that life has never been about arriving. There is no grand prize at the end, no cosmic medal ceremony. The reward for living well is living well right now. This is the quiet wisdom of those who seem content without chasing endlessly. They understand that life is not a series of achievements to collect, but a tapestry to weave. And the richest tapestries are made slowly, deliberately, thread by thread. The race makes you rush your weaving. Stillness lets you see the beauty in every knot and color. So I'll ask you again, why are you running? Is it because you truly love the pace, or because you're afraid of what will happen if you stop? If it's fear, then maybe the bravest thing you can do is slow down. Let someone else pass you. Let go of the scoreboard entirely. Because in the end, the only person you're racing is yourself. And the only way to win is to realize there was never a race in the first place. If you've ever watched children play, you'll notice something revealing. They are not in a hurry. They don't play so they can finish playing. They play because the act itself is the point. There's no scoreboard, no invisible judge keeping time. Yet somewhere along the way, we lose that. We begin to treat life like a series of tasks to complete rather than moments to inhabit. We call this maturity, but perhaps it is simply a forgetting that life's value is in the living. Children run, yes, but they run for the joy of running, not to cross some imaginary finish line. The irony is, many of us run so hard toward the future that we miss the very thing we're running for. We imagine that rest, happiness, and peace await us once we get there. But when there arrives, it's replaced by another there, and another, and another. The finish line keeps moving because the race was never real. It was a habit of the mind. This is why you hear people say, "I'll slow down when things settle." They don't realize things rarely settle. The mind always finds a new reason to keep sprinting. So the question becomes, if the race is an illusion, what happens when you step out of it? What happens is something strange. You begin to notice details that were invisible before. The sound of rain on the roof, the way your breath feels entering and leaving your body, the subtle shifts in a friend's tone of voice. These things were always there, but you couldn't see them because your eyes were fixed on the next lap. And it's these details, not the milestones, that quietly feed your soul. Here's the challenge. Your ego will not like this slowing down. The ego thrives on competition, on being better or further ahead. It will whisper, if you stop, you'll fall behind. You'll be forgotten. You'll miss your chance. But the truth is, if you're always running, you'll miss your life. The only chance worth having is the one you're in right now. And no one can take that from you except you when you abandon the present for a race that doesn't exist. To live without the race is to live on your own terms. It's to realize that the most precious parts of life, love, friendship, joy, creativity, cannot be forced, scheduled, or sped up. Think about love. If you tried to rush it, it would collapse under the weight of your urgency. Think about art. If you pushed it too hard, the beauty would vanish. So why do we think the whole of life can be pushed into a tight schedule? Why do we act as if speed equals success? Because we've been told a story that the faster we get there, the better our lives will be. But this story is a trap. It keeps us forever feeling like we're not enough yet, not ready yet, not complete yet. When you stop believing the story, you see another truth. You were never incomplete to begin with. You didn't need to win anything to be whole. You didn't need to outpace anyone to be worthy. This is why the wisest people often appear to move slowly, not because they lack ambition, but because they no longer believe in the race. They understand something most runners never learn. Every finish line is just a disguised starting line. You cross it, and there's another one waiting. And so you ask yourself, if this never ends, why not enjoy the steps instead of chasing the end? Life isn't a straight track, it's a spiral. You keep revisiting the same truths from new angles. You keep finding new depths in old places. And the only way to appreciate that spiral is to stop trying to win it. When you realize this, the obsession with constant progress begins to dissolve. But I should warn you, stepping out of the race won't make life perfect. You'll still face challenges, losses, and disappointments. The difference is they won't feel like setbacks. Without the race, there's no behind to fall into. There's only the unfolding path, with all its twists, pauses, and surprises. You stop measuring yourself against the clock and start listening to the rhythm of your own life. And in that rhythm, you find something rare in our world: genuine peace. Peace doesn't mean nothing happens. It means you no longer turn every event into a judgment of your worth. You get a promotion, good. You lose a job, also good, in the sense that it may lead you somewhere new. You fall in love, wonderful. You go through heartbreak, still part of the dance. When you stop racing, you stop dividing life into success and failure. It all becomes experience. It all becomes living. And that's the part the race could never give you. So perhaps the real question isn't, how do I get ahead? But what am I running from? If you can answer that honestly, you might find the courage to slow down, not because you've lost the will to grow, but because you've remembered that growth doesn't always require motion. Sometimes it requires stillness. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do in a world obsessed with speed is to stop. When you stop running, something else happens. The people who are still running may not understand you. They might call you lazy, unmotivated, or unrealistic. They'll try to convince you that if you slow down, life will leave you behind. But the truth is, life doesn't leave anyone. It's not a bus that drives away while you stand at the stop. It's the ground beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the moment you're in. You can't be left behind by something you're already part of. If anything, it's the constant running that makes you miss life, not the slowing down. And when you stop, you might discover that you're already where you need to be. This doesn't mean you won't have goals or dreams. It means you won't sacrifice the present for them. You'll work toward them, but without the panic of someone being chased, without the idea that your worth depends on catching them. In many ways, stepping out of the race is an act of trust. You trust that you don't need to rush to live fully. You trust that life will still unfold even if you're not pushing it forward every second. Trust doesn't mean passivity. It means letting go of the illusion that speed equals value. It means understanding that your presence matters more than your pace. And in that space of trust, you begin to live with a deeper ease. Ease is not laziness. It's the calmness of someone who knows they are not in competition with anyone, not even themselves. Imagine waking up without the feeling that you're already late for your own life. Imagine doing what needs to be done without the constant background noise of more, faster, better. This doesn't make you less effective, it makes you more aligned. You no longer scatter your energy chasing dozens of goals at once. You put your attention where it matters, and you savor the process. It's like tending a garden. You can't rush the flowers to bloom by shouting at them. You tend the soil, water the plants, and let time do its work. If you tried to pull the buds open early, you'd destroy them. Your own life is no different. The most beautiful parts of it unfold in their own time. And your job is not to make them happen faster, but to be there when they do. So, when the urge to run kicks in, when you feel that restless tug toward the next thing, pause. Ask yourself, am I moving towards something meaningful, or am I running just to keep from feeling still? Sometimes, the stillness is what you need most. It allows space for clarity to emerge. It allows you to hear yourself again, beneath the noise of deadlines and expectations. And in that clarity, you might find that the thing you were chasing was right beside you all along. There's a freedom in not racing. A freedom to take the long way home, to talk for hours with a friend without glancing at the clock, to create something slowly and imperfectly because you enjoy it. The world may not reward you for these things in the way it rewards speed and productivity, but the reward is built into the act itself. It's the deep, quiet satisfaction of actually living your life instead of rushing through it. And here's the final paradox. When you stop running, you often end up where you wanted to be all along, but without the exhaustion and emptiness. The opportunities come, the relationships deepen, the experiences arrive, not because you forced them, but because you were open enough to receive them. Life was never asking you to run. It was asking you to notice. Notice the way the morning light filters through your window. Notice the laughter in a conversation. Notice the quiet moments when you feel completely at peace for no reason at all. These moments are not in the way of your progress. They are the point of it. If you can live like this, not as a runner in a race, but as a participant in the unfolding of each moment, you will find that the need to measure your worth against speed disappears. And in its place, you will find something far more valuable, the realization that your life was never a competition to begin with. You don't need to get ahead, you don't need to prove anything, you don't need to win. All you need is to be here in the only moment you've ever truly had. And in that moment, you might discover finally that you were never behind. You were always exactly where you were meant to be.